This is a pretty off the cuff talk. Got to thinking about work and the conditions in which people work. And a lot of times, young people especially seem to be amazed at some of the working conditions and pay and so forth that we got out of. I got a job out of need for college money, and I got a job as a busboy. And busboy, sometimes I'm stunned that there are a lot of these ordinary terms that young people don't know, but you just clean off the tables in the restaurant and so forth. I'm sure you've seen other, you may not know the term busboy, but anyway, that's what I was. Me and my buddy went down there and got jobs. We got paid $1.25 an hour. And yeah, that sounds crazy when the lowest, the minimum wage is $7.50 an hour now, but back then you could get a cup of coffee for a dime, 10 cents, right? So you have to always keep that in mind when I mentioned cost. You know, gas was about $1.25 a gallon. I think that's wrong. It just hit me. No, it wasn't. It was like 26 cents a gallon. Yeah, wow. It's been a long time. Anyway, so you have to keep that balance in mind. The working conditions were okay. You could work pretty long hours, and there were rules though, for me. I'll get to that in a little bit. And we got breaks. We got fed even working in it was really a coffee shop in a hotel. So, and then there was a restaurant. So there's always a lot of cooking going on, which was great. But then I got a job quite a bit later, years later. And I've told this before. I have to remind you that talking about coffee 10 cents a cup. I also paid for a full semester at ASU for $56 the whole semester, $56. That did not include my textbooks. So as you pick yourself up off the floor thinking about that, but the point is, working class kids like me could pay your way through college with a minimum wage job. You can't possibly do that now. So back to this other job I had. My employer insisted that I come in 20 minutes early and run the vacuum cleaner. It was a tobacco store, actually. And don't get crazy about what kind of tobacco, okay. Actually, we sold bongs, that was legal. The other stuff, that you used in the bongs was not legal. So they wanted me to come in early. And then, when I finished my shift, they wanted me to stay late and clean up for the next day. I pulled a fast one on them. I was not going to do that. And I did not understand the other adult people working there who went along with that. I did not understand that. So I told them the job I had required, and it was a very serious job that impressed them greatly. And I said, it's really tough because sometimes I'm held up on blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, well, that's fine. And they were okay with me. And then another time, I got a job right after my degree, graduate degree, and it was a mom and pop operation, like several I've worked in, including the tobacco store. Those are tough because when the husband and wife have a falling out with each other, they kind of tend to take it out on us lowly workers. But in this case, this lady got pretty bad off and accused me of stealing stuff and so forth. And I mean, my gosh, I was in my 30s and I had a professional degree, and I just had to take a part-time job before, I found my professional job after just getting my degree. So fortunately, when I got my professional job was in a psychiatric clinic, and I happened to run into a nurse who had been on the floor when this lady was admitted. When I say she was crazy, I mean she was. So those are the conditions there. I'm not sure things are that different now. Now my wife, on the other hand, had a very different experience. She was 6, and her father couldn't find work in Texas. So they came out here to pick cotton. And her trip out, and someday I'm going to have her make a video of what that was like for her 6 years old. And 5 days, I think, in this truck, like an army truck with a tarp over it, and a slop jar. I remember they couldn't stop at restrooms because they were black, so they had to just, they had a slop, like a chamber pot, slop jar, whatever, in the truck, and you could use it, but for a little kid, And then worse, if you had to do number 2, you had to go out in the desert. And they, of course, I don't know, some people are stupid, and they filled her heads with stories of Gila monsters and scorpions and rattlesnakes, and she was not about to go out there. So she held it for 5-6 days. And that was tough. Arriving at the cotton camp, it was no fun either, because the cotton was Arizona staple cotton, which is very tall, and it was taller than she was, but she had to work. And she got out in the cotton field and was picking cotton. I might say at this time also, they were still spraying fields with DDT, and that's not done anymore because we have a government that did research and found that the DDT was causing cancer. But that they were still spraying the fields when she was a kid. She did go to school, but it was the whole experience in that cotton camp was so traumatic for her that she doesn't even remember her teacher. She can't, a male or female. She can't remember. It was really terrible. The next year they moved to Phoenix. And then at age 9, she began working, cleaning people's houses with her mother. There were some bad experiences there because this was an old Southern tradition. Wealthy white families would hire a black person, a woman with kids, and it was kind of understood, that it was a family project. So my wife wound up working, cleaning house, babysitting on weekends all day. So I don't know how this is going to strike. I mean, this was not just black kids, that had to deal with this, although back in those days, the vast majority of black people were living in poverty. And one day we'll talk about some of the government programs that helped change that, and the civil rights movement, of course. But these people had a code, these white people. So when my wife was 13, her employer started her on Social Security. And that was not something, that was normal in jobs like that. But this is that old Southern tradition. You kind of take care of your people, they called them. The people who worked for you, the black people. And so at age 13, she of course, Social Security, your employer pays in. So that meant her employer was also paying. Two main families she worked for. The men were doctors. Of course, the women did not work. Goes without saying. And there were other things that happened. She did not have a lot of protection. She had to be very careful inside the house when there were no adults there, which often was the case. But if a service person, someone came in to fix the plumbing or something, a little black girl had to be very careful where she was. She should never get herself in a dead end part of the house. She had to have somewhere where she could get out. And one time, a guy did try to molest her, and she said simply, I'll tell Dr. So-and-so, and so that, but those are the things, again, I want to stress that this was a pretty common experience for children living in poverty. I did not live in poverty. My mom didn't have much money. She didn't have any money, really. I remember her taking you'll crack up at this, 2 quarters she took out of her purse, her last money before payday. And we went to the movies, 25 cents each. And they were what they called double features, 2 movies for 25 cents. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about work a long time ago and how things have changed. And I'll talk later about why they changed, how they changed, who is responsible for that. Very important because our day that we're living in now, you're in, I'm in, there are a lot of people who would like to go back to a lot of that, where workers did not have rights, so forth. So we will get into that more, and I'll talk to you about how, what caused a lot of those working conditions to change. So if you're flipping burgers somewhere, I saw a little girl, well, a little girl, 20 probably, flipping burgers at this place, and she was a hard worker. Gosh, she was really good. You could tell the manager depended on her, but God, I hope she was in school, because those jobs don't last forever. Because of why? Because you get old and you can't do them. They're hard. They're really hard. I looked at that and I thought, oh, I remember my busboy days, and I worked awful hard. We'll talk about that. Banquet nights, 16 straight hours moving big tables and chairs around. Anyway, so I am going to throw this out and see if anyone likes it. It's very casual. I didn't write anything out, didn't think about it, just kind of talking about how things used to be. And if you like it, please let me know. If you don't like it, click on that. And if you can subscribe, that would be nice. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you.